federal government has announced that it will be trying to cut nearly $1 billion worth of funding from the Department of National Defense's budget. Deputy Minister Bill Matthews said to MPs on the House of Commons Defense Committee that the department is identifying proposals for spending reductions while trying to minimize the effect on military readiness. The cuts total more than $900 million over 4 years. The announcement has sparked a flurry of criticism, including from Canada's top general. General Wayne Eyre confirmed the figure to MPs on the House of Commons Defense Committee on Friday. He said that there is no way to trim that amount without having an effect on the armed forces. Well, joining us now to discuss the impact the potential cuts could have on military readiness is Mr. Richard Shimooka, Senior Fellow at the Macdonald-Laurier Institute. Mr. Shimooka, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
So there's been a lot of criticism regarding the amount that the federal government is considering to cut on defense spending. In your view, is there enough room to cut nearly $1 billion from the department? And where would these cuts come from?
I would say absolutely not. Certainly the department has been subject to a large amount of lack of spending, and in particular you kind of see it in the procurement accounts. A lot of equipment that really needs to be replaced is not seeing the replacement schedules as sort of planned, and as a result you're seeing increased maintenance required on vehicles, tanks, ships that just are starting to eat heavily into the military's budget. So there's not really room. I believe that the CDS's comments about it cutting into readiness is accurate. There's really just not a way that this can be done artfully enough to not have an effect on the department.
So what sort of impact would this budget cut have on the CAF? What could this look like?
Well, I believe it was Minister Blair who said that they would be looking at travel and consultants, which is kind of not a great statement to say because the department is heavily dependent on outside contractors and consultants to do just basic work. A lot of the areas that they cover, especially like in sensitive sort of technologies, it cannot be done internally to the department. So they rely heavily on these individuals to do some key critical tasks. Furthermore, I mean, this is a department that basically is an international force. They're expected to deploy abroad, and sort of curtailing travel there isn't really effective. On top of that, it's just that's not even a large portion of the budget, so it's not really an accurate way to do it. So what you're probably going to see is basically some program spending on procurement, maybe try to lean it out so that they can get some money out of that. But that's going to just cost more in the long run because you're going to delay the systems. You have older equipment that's being put into service, or it's kept into service. So I'm not too sure how this is going to play out. That's the problem. Is that and if you look at a lot of other individuals who actually work in this field, they're very sort of perplexed and sort of confused how they intend to do this, especially given that there was a commitment towards meeting the 2% goal just earlier this spring at the NATO summit.
And as you're highlighting, these cuts are coming amid tremendous demand for the CAF, both nationally and internationally. Here at home, we saw military personnel respond to multiple natural disasters like wildfires this year. So how do you see these cuts impacting the CAF's ability to serve Canadians during times of crisis, as natural disasters are only expected to get worse here?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a real issue. I think the one mission that we just agreed to is expanding our commitment in Latvia. That mission will eat up a significant part of the Army's resources, its personnel resources, and its equipment budget. And it's really difficult to see how this is going to be implemented in the long run, especially given as we just saw one of the worst, I believe actually was the worst wildfire season in Canada. And the CF is being used in these roles where they're not really ideal. Certainly the reserve element might be, but having active duty personnel helping tasks for these operations is going to be really problematic going forward. So again, I think a lot of people who have watched the forces are very, very perplexed how this is going to occur. And a lot of them have said, I don't think this is sustainable in the long run by any means.
All right, Mr. Shimooka, a quick 30 seconds left here, but is there a better way to go about this in regards to spending cuts from your perspective?
Not really. I think unless you were to cancel the Latvia mission or Latvia increase, that'd be the only way I could see this. Just the nature of these large programs, they can't be cut. That's the problem. You've invested so much before this point. Moving it forward trying to cut from now onwards just costs you more money in the long run. And so you might get some short-term gain, but the long-term pain for this will be significant.
All right, Mr. Shimooka, thank you again for your time today on Forum Daily.
Thanks for having me.